place, I would say. He will be speaking on the topic Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra as an Upasaka, glimpses from his Shivarchana Chandrika. Just a brief introduction. Dr. Gokul Krishna ji is a practicing Ayurvedic physician, and he is a student of Samskrita Sahityam with a special interest in the literary heritage of the saints of Adi Shankaracharya tradition. I must make a special mention of the fact that Gokul Krishna ji is deeply dedicated to Appayya Dikshitendra. He is probably one of those person who is personally invested in the dissemination of works of Appayya Dikshitendra, teachings of Appayya Dikshitendra. So, and he was one of the first I approached for this symposium. When we conceived of this symposium, he was the first name that came to my mind, because he has been trying to create awareness about Appayya Dikshitendra's life and his works for many years now. And we had done a Advaita Acharya, life and works of Advaita Acharya session with him on the life of Appayya Dikshitendra as well on in INDICA MOKSHA. So with these brief comments, I request Gokul Krishna ji to start his session.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yeah.
यस्याहुरागमविदः परिपूर्णशक्तेः अंशे कियत्यपि निविष्टममुं प्रपञ्चम् तस्मै तमाल रुचिभासुर कंधराय नारायणी सहचराय नमः शिवाय श्रुतिस्मृति पुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं विधाय वेदान् विविधाः कलाश्च भावज्ञमप्राप्य विषीदतोऽन्तः शंभोः प्रियं कर्तुमिवावतीर्णः श्रीमान् जयत्यप्पय दीक्षितेन्द्रः उमाकान्ते रमाकान्ते येषामासीन् मतिस्समा नमामि दीक्षितेन्द्रांस्तान् नयषट्क विशारदान् श्री शिव ज्ञान सन्मार्ग संप्रदाय प्रवर्तकान् श्रीमदप्पय्य योगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रान् भजामहे. My humble obeisance to Advaita Vidyacharya Shri Adishankar Bhagavatpada. My humble obeisance to Advaita Vidyacharya Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra. I thank the organizers of INDICA MOKSHA for organizing this series of talks on selected portions of from the works of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra. So by organizing symposiums like this, so we have been giving the attention to Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra, the attention which he deserves. So this is a great service you have been doing to Sanatana Dharma, to Sanskrit literature, and to Advaita Vedanta. So the topic I have chosen for today's topic is an appreciation of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra as an Upasaka. And here I will be giving some glimpses from the work of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra known as Shivarchana Chandrika. So because this work known as Shivarchana Chandrika, although it is a Laghukaya Grantha, the topics that have been discussed here are extremely deep, and it is only possible to give a bird's eye view of the topic. So as far as Shivarchana Chandrika is concerned, so here Dikshitendra gives us an outstanding exposition. So it is an outstanding exposition of the most characteristic of a Vaidika Shiva Bhakta. And the most important characteristic of a Vaidika Shiva Bhakta is Shiva Puja Vidhana. And this work, Shivarchana Chandrika, is organized by Dikshitendra into 38 chapters. So before the first upachara, so he gives an introduction to the text. So in the introduction, he gives what is going to be dealt with in the whole text of Shivarchana Chandrika. At the end of the 38th upachara, then he gives the conclusion of the text. So the whole of this text, so it is an applicatory expositions of the Shruti Vakyams, the Smriti Vakyams and Purana Vakyams on the external worship of Shiva. So we know that he has composed stotras like Durga Chandra Kalastuti and stotras like Aditya Stotraratnam, Brahma Tarkastavaha, Shikarini Mala. Every single word of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra that has been used in these stotrams. So it has a very large body of Shruti Vakyams or Smriti Vakyams or Itihasa Purana Vakyams behind it. So Dikshitendra would have kept in mind a group of Shruti Vakyams, Smriti Vakyams and Itihasa Purana Vakyams while compiling one single word of his. And in his own Sanskrit commentary on it, he would have given a very detailed elaboration of it by quoting enormously from the various Shastric literatures. So when a careful study of this Shivarchana Chandrika will also reveal that Dikshitendra gives us the essence of the Shrutis, Smritis and Puranas. So in this way, so the famous shloka on Adishankara Bhagavatpada, Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam, Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. So we can paraphrase this Mangalacharana shloka on Adishankaracharya with reference to Dikshitendra. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam, Namami Dikshitendram Tam Appayam Loka Shankaram. So that is the greatness of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra. So the entire text is composed of instructions pertaining to personal sadacharam, various aspects of puja, and then the external insignia of a Shiva Bhakta, the chanting of the sacred Panchakshara mantra, homas, darshan of the Lord's deity in a temple, and finally eating prasada. So he starts with Dantadhavana Vidhi and then Snana Vidhi. The third one is Sankshepa Shaiva Sandhya Vidhanam. Apart from the Vaidika Sandhya, he gives a short introduction to Shaiva Sandhya Vidhanam and then Bhasmadharana Vidhanam, Rudraksha Dharana Vidhanam. So in this way it goes on. So a careful study of the entire work reveals that it is a legacy of a lifetime that had been devoted to a patient and meticulous Shiva Puja, and a production of an exalted personality in whom we could find a very great mixture of an erudite scholarship and immense piety. So it's a mixture of these two things we can see in the work Shivarchana Chandrika. And as a scholar who was endowed with an extraordinary knowledge in all the scriptures, so he was a Sarvatantra Swatantra, he has given us Vaidika mantras, Smrityukta Shloka mantras and Puranokta Shloka mantras to be chanted at appropriate times in different sections of Shivarchana Chandrika. So in all his works, all the 104 works of his, Dikshitendra stands out in all the charm of his rich and varied personality. From the different facets of his personality, 104 works in Sanskrit of multiple genres have emerged. As a Mimamsaka Murdhanya, as an erudite scholar in 4 grade schools of Vedanta, as an erudite scholar in Alankara Shastra, as a Vaiyakarana Sarvabhauma, as an erudite scholar of the entire range of Itihasa Puranas, as a devotee who was well aware of the local Sthala Puranams of different temples, and as an exemplary devotee who had surrendered himself completely to his chosen deity, Dikshitendra has produced many works that are literary gold. Each one of his work is a literary gold. So we can say that each one of his work is a magnum opus individually. So when we take a look at his Advaita Vedanta Granthas like Parikalpataru Parimala Vyakhyanam, Nyaya Rakshamani, Shastra Siddhanta Lesha Sangraha, Upakrama Parakramaha, Nayamanjari. So we can say that each one of it is a magnum opus. In the same way, his works in Shivadvaita Vedanta like Shivarkamani Deepika, Shivadvaita Nirnayaha, and then his Vishishtadvaitic works like Nayamayukha Malika and commentary on Yadava Bheda Mahakavyam of Swami Vedanta Deshikar. So we can say that each one is a magnum opus. So that was the eminence of Dikshitendra. So in his this Shivarchana Chandrika stems from that facet of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra as a rigorous Upasaka. So apart from being a scholar, Dikshitendra was extremely committed to Upasana. So his being a multifaceted personality was not just limited to the different schools of Vedanta. So there alone it doesn't exist. So his being a multifaceted personality extends to the Mantra Shastra as well. So apart from being a rigorous Shaiva Upasaka, Dikshitendra also had initiation into Vaishnava mantras and Shakta mantras as well. So he has written a work known as Krishna Dhyana Paddhati and his own auto commentary on Krishna Dhyana Paddhati. And in this work, he throws light on the esoteric meanings of many secret mantras on Lord Krishna. And then he also explains the results of chanting them and the methods of meditation. Apart from this, he had also written a work known as Shri Vidya Tattva Vivaranam. Here he gives a detailed description of the true nature of Shri Vidya worship. So these three works, Krishna Dhyana Paddhati and Dikshitendra's own auto commentary is not available today. And it is believed that these two works are preserved in some libraries, preserved in Oxford University. And his work, Shri Vidya Tattva Vivaranam, so until the 1930s, we know that it was there in a university in Lahore. And after that, we do not know the fate of this manuscript. We do not know if it was a hitherto unpublished manuscript or a published work. So we do not have information about it. So in the Dikshitendra Vijayam written by K.V. Subramanya Shastrigal, so he has also given a list of 104 works written by Dikshitendra. So there in this list of 104 works, he lists Shiva Krishna Dhyana Paddhati and his own auto commentary on it. So he also mentions the name of Shri Vidya Tattva Vivaranam. And unfortunately, these works are not available today. So that was the eminence of Dikshitendra. So Pradhanataya, his Upasanam was on Lord Shiva. Gaunataya, his Upasanam was on Krishna and Devi. So he was a very great devotee of Lord Vishnu. So he has written a wonderful stotram on Varadaraja Perumal of Kanchipuri. He has also written a stotram on Devi, the famous Durga Chandra Kalastiti. So before we go into Shivarchana Chandrika, so I would like to give a description of an Uttama Shiva Bhakta. So in Shiva Mahapuranam, Shiva Mahapuranam is one of the 18 Mahapuranams, and it was Shri Vyasacharya who has blessed us with this Puranam as well, just like how Vyasacharya has blessed us with Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a wonderful Puranam. He has also blessed us with Shiva Mahapuranam. So Shiva Mahapuranam has 7 Samhitas. So the first one is Vidyeshvara Samhita, the second one is Rudra Samhita, third one is Shatarudra Samhita, fourth one is Koti Rudra Samhita, fifth one is Uma Samhita, sixth one is Kailasa Samhita, and the seventh and last one is Vayaviya Samhita. So in these among 7 Samhitas, the first one is Vidyeshvara Samhita. So there in Vidyeshvara Samhita, so in the 17th chapter, so it is about the greatness of Pranava Mantra and Panchakshara Mantra. So towards the end of this chapter, so the lakshanas of the topmost Shiva Bhakta have been described. So this is how the shloka goes on. Kriya yukta dashabhyascha tapo yukto vishishyate tapo yukta shatebhyascha japa yukto vishishyate japa yukta sahasrebhyaha shivajnani vishishyate shivajnanishu laksheshu Dhyana yukto vishishyate, Dhyana yukteshu kotibhyah, samadhistho vishishyate. So Kriya yuktaha, a devotee who has the quality of Kriya.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you make it full screen?
Yeah, sure. Able to see it?
Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are 6 lakshanas. Kriya yuktatvam is lakshanam 1. Tapoyuktatvam is Lakshanam 2, Japayuktatvam is Lakshanam 3, Shivajnana Yuktatvam is Lakshanam 4, and then Dhyana Yuktatvam is Lakshanam 5, and Samadhi Yuktatvam is Lakshanam 6. So, a devotee who is endowed with Kriya is Kriya Yukta. A devotee who is endowed with Tapas is Tapo Yukta. So, I will explain what is each of these in detail. So, one Tapo Yukta Shiva Bhakta is equal to 10 Kriya Yukta Shiva Bhaktas. One Japa Yukta Shiva Bhakta is equal to 100 Tapo Yukta Shiva Bhaktas. One Shiva Jnana Yukta Bhakta is equal to 1000 Japa Yukta Shiva Bhaktas, and a Dhyana Yukta Shiva Bhakta is equal to 1 lakh Shiva Jnana Yukta Shiva Bhaktas. A Samadhista Shiva Bhakta is equal to 1 crore Dhyana Yukta Shiva Bhakta. So this is the shloka. So Kriya Yuktatvam, so by that word Kriya we mean, so it is Vaidika Shrauta Smarta Karmas. So the Vaidika karmas that have been enjoined in the Shrutis and Smritis. So all the Vedokta Daihika karmas are Smarta karmas. And all the karmas that have been enjoined in the Shrauta Sutras, so starting from Nityagni-hotram and all the yajnas that have been enumerated. So observing them, so those are Shrauta karmas. And here Vedokta karmanushtanam which doesn't involve Kamya karma. So that is the meaning of the word Kriya. So Kriya Yuktatvam, this Lakshanam was there in Dikshitendra because so he had his after his Upanayanam, after his marriage, he was engaged in the performance of all the Nityanayamitika Vaidika karmas. So Nityam Agnihotram. So he was a Nityagnihotri as well as an Avichinna Agnihotra. Apart from that, he performed all the yagams, so all the 7 Soma Yajna Samsthas, 7 Havi Yajna Samsthas, the Paka Yajna Samsthas. So all of these he performed meticulously during his lifetime. So this is Kriya Yuktatvam of this Lakshanam of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra is Kriya Yuktatvam. And then Tapo Yuktatvam. So the word tapas here refers to Adhyayanam, Vedadhyayanam. So Dikshitendra had his Vedadhyayanam from his own father, Nityagni-hotri, Vishwajidyaji, Advaita Vidyacharya Shri Rangaraja Dikshita. After his Upanayanam, his own father taught him Samaveda along with the 6 Vedangas. And he also studied the Shrauta Sutram from his own fathers. All the Shrauta Karma Prayogas he studied from his own father. He studied Purva Mimamsa from his father. He studied Vedanta Shastram, Vyakarana Shastram from his father. Before his Upanayanam, he studied Samskrita Sahityam from Guru Rama Kavi of Mullandram village. So that is a separate thing. And after his Upanayanam, he had all the Adhyanam from his own father. So there is a famous, so there is a shloka in Brahmanda Puranam which says, so a person who gives Brahmopadesham is known as Acharya. And a person who teaches, so it could be one single person or multiple personalities who may teach the Vedas, who may teach the Shastras. So they may be considered as Deshikas. So for Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra, both his Acharya as well as his Deshika was his own father, Sri Rangaraja Dhwari. And when one and the same person is both the Acharya and Deshika of a person, so he is known as Mahaguru for him. So Dikshitendra's Mahaguru was his own father, Sri Rangaraja Dhwari. So in that way, Tapo Yuktatvam, this Lakshanam we can see in Dikshitendra. And apart from this, every single day he used to have Vedadhyanam. So we know the famous instruction of Bhagavad Pada, Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam Taduditam Karma Svanushthiyatam. So Dikshitendra did this all throughout his lifetime. He had been teaching Samaveda to his sons, nephews, grandsons, grandnephews, disciples. So that is how the whole of his life was spent. So every day he used to have Vedadhyanam. Every day he used to have all the Vaidika Karma Anushtanam, Sandhya Vandanam, Aupasanam, Prataragnihotaram, Sayamagnihotaram, and then Vaishwadevam, Madhyanikam, Brahma Yajnam. So he used to have all, apart from all of these Vaidika karmas, every day he used to have it Adhyapanam of Samavedam along with Shtadangas, the 6 Angas. So that was a part of his Nitya daily routine. So 6 months of Vedadhyapanam, 6 months of Vedanga Dhyapanam. So that is how it used to be in olden days. Apart from Tapoyuktatvam, the next Lakshanam is Japayuktatvam. So Japayuktatvam here is Gudhatvena Guruna Upadishtam Shivapanchakshara Mantra Japam is Japam. So even here Dikshitendra had initiation into Shivapanchakshara Mantram and other mantras pertaining to Lord Shiva. And from the Dikshitendra Vijayam, so when we take a look at Dikshitendra Vijayam and Dikshitendra's works like Shivarachana Chandrika, we can appreciate his personality very well. So hagiographers like Shivananda Yogindra, so he says that every day Dikshitendra would observe, he used to practice Ashtanga Yogam every day. So Ashtanga Yoga Anushtanam was everyday practice for him. So it is not Nitya Agnihotram, so Aupasanam, teaching of the Vedas, teaching of the Shastras, that alone was not there in his everyday routine. Every day he used to meticulously perform asanams, pranayamams, and only then he would do Shivapanchakshara Japam. So even in Shivarachana Chandrika, we'll be seeing now. So it's like Dikshitendra says, before sitting for Shivapanchakshara, one has to perform specific pranayamams, specific asanams, activate the Ida Pingala, Sushumna Nadis, activate the Kundalini Shakti, and then sit for Shivapanchaksharam. So that is how Dikshitendra every day he used to do Shivapanchaksharam in this way, apart from the elaborate Shiva Puja every day. So this is how he used to do elaborate, an extremely difficult form of Shivapanchakshara Mantra Japam. So there are many different methods in which Shivapanchakshara Mantra is chanted. So there was one scholar named Angirasa Venkatesha Sharma. So in a compilation which he had written, so he gives a list of 125 different methods with which Shivapanchakshara Mantra is recited. So there are many innumerable ways for chanting it. So in this way, the way Dikshitendra, if we go have a look at the way Dikshitendra has explained Panchakshara Mantra Japam, it will be, it's nearly possible for people of 21st century to chant it that way. So every day, so there is a very beautiful description given by KV, so Shivananda Yogindra. So Mula Nala Nilakala Kalana Pilantaha Nidralu Mahyabalikam Chalayan Hathena. So through the practice of Hatha Yoga, he used to awaken the sleeping Kundalini Shakti that is there within the lying deep within the Muladhara Chakra. And then he used to activate each of the 6 chakras, Muladhara, Swadhisthana, all of the 6 chakras. Mula.
Dr.
So
Krishnaji,
all of
your
these
slides are not
yes.
moving. Your
Yeah?
slides are not moving.
No. I've not prepared any other slide apart from this.
Okay then. Okay.
Yeah. So the description which Shivananda Yogindra gives and the description which we see here, they will match with each other. So there will be consistency with the description of Dikshitendra's personality in Dikshitendra Vijayam and the what he has taught in his Shivarachana Chandrika. So it will be like two sides of the same coin. So because today's topic is only on Shivarachana Chandrika, I'm not getting into the details of it. So this is how it's apart from this is about Dikshitendra being engaged in Shiva Panchakshara Japam. So Japa Yuktutvam of Dikshitendra is this. And apart from Japa Yuktutvam, he also had the next Lakshanam, which is Jnana Yuktutvam. So the word Shivasya, the word Shivapadam could be interpreted in two ways. So it could be the Nirgunam Param Brahma. So Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra says, so in his Shiva Tattva Vivekam, he gives a very beautiful description of both the Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Brahman. So he quotes from Shruti Vakyams, Itihasa Purana Vakyams, says Nirgunam, Nishkriyam Shantam, Niravadyam, Niranjanam. So these are the Lakshanams of the Supreme Impersonal Brahman. that have been revealed in the Upanishads and in the Itihasa Puranas. So that same supreme impersonal Brahman, so it also exists in the form of Saguna Brahman. So tasya Paramashiva Shabdi tasya Sagunam Rupam. So that Sagunam Rupam, so what kind of Sagunam Rupam? So it is Neela, so Swadhishthita Nirbachaniya Mayadi Kalpita Gunadi Vibhagam. So the Maya, the Maya of the Supreme Brahman. So when Brahman is associated with Maya in two forms, we have. So when Maya in the form of Vidya gets associated with Brahman, so the result is Ishvara. So Maya in the form of Avidya, when it gets associated with Brahman, it becomes Jivatma. So this Ishvara, all the Kalpita, all the Namarupadi, so all of these come to the Brahman when it is associated with Maya. So originally the Nirgunam Brahman is devoid of any names, it is devoid of any forms, it is devoid of attributes. So this Supreme Brahman, when it gets associated with Maya in the form of Vidya, so it becomes Saguna Brahman. And then he says Neelakantatva, Virupakshatvadi, so all the different forms of Lord Shiva. And then the different names of Shiva, Bhava, Rudra, Maheshwara, and so on. So all of these forms of Lord Shiva, so they perform many different leelas. So in this way, Saguna Brahman is differentiated in many forms. So Shivasya Jnanam, Shiva Jnanam. So Shivasya means Jneyasya Parasya Brahmanaha. So the Supreme Impersonal Brahman is Jneyam. So something that could be known through experience, that can be obtained through Sakshatkara. And then the word Shivasya can also be interpreted as Aparasya Sagunasya Brahmanaha. So the Saguna Brahman in the form of Lord Shiva. So Shivasya Jnanam is Shiva Jnanam. So here this Jnanam is Shruti Yukti Janyam Shiva Jnanam. So it is something that is a result of studying the Shrutis and Smritis. So this is something that is that is cultivated as a result of studying the Upanishad. So the Upanishad Kandam in the Vedas and studying the Uttaramimamsa Shastram. So this is Brahmajnanam is of two kinds. So one is Shabdam Brahmajnanam. The other one is Aparokshanubhavajanyam Brahmajnanam. So the Shabdam Brahmajnanam is theoretical knowledge of the Brahman. So that is acquired through the study of the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras. And the same Aparoksha, this theoretical knowledge, so after this is done, one has to have Aparoksha, so practical experience of it. So otherwise the purpose of Vedanta will not be served. So this Aparokshanubhavam Shiva Jnanam takes place through two different ways. So Dhyana Nishtha and Samadhi Nishtha. So it is through the process of Dhyana Nishtha and Samadhi Nishtha, Aparokshanubhavajanyam Brahmajnanam takes place. So the last two Lakshanas, so they pertain to Aparokshanubhavam Brahmajnanam. The fourth one pertains to Shabdam Brahmajnanam. So Dhyanam is the process of meditation. So the process of meditation here is Sajatiya Pratyaya Vritti Lakshanam Dhyanam. So that is what is Dhyanam. So when one particular form is chosen, so it could be one particular form of a particular Devata. And when that particular form is being meditated, when that is made into a subject of meditation, constant meditation, so what happens is only then the mind becomes focused on that particular Devata Rupam. And it is this, what is the purpose of this Dhyanam? So it is this Dhyanam that will destroy all the Pratibandhakas or obstacles that are associated with Brahmajnanam. So the Brahmajnanam that is acquired through the theoretical study of Upanishads and Brahma Sutras, so Jnanam will also, after obtaining Jnanam, will always have obstacles. So the Shabdam Brahmajnanam which a person has obtained is not sufficient. So to destroy his avidya, so all the anadya, to destroy the anadya vidya, So the dhyanam is very, very important. So all the pratibandha nivaranam, all the is performed. So that is the very, very important purpose of dhyanam. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we have the famous shloka, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. So jnana dhyanam vishishyate. So Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. So the same concept has been explained here in Vidyeshwara Samhita in Shiva Mahapuranam in different words. So Shivajnani vishish. So Shivajnanishu laksheshu dhyana yukto vishishyate says Vidyeshwara Samhita of Shiva Mahapuranam. And Bhagavad Gita says the same thing as jnana dhyanam vishishyate. And then, so once jnanam, so once a person is engaged in dhyanam, then he has to enter into samadhi. So in samadhi, so samyak adhiyate. So adhiyate means samyak param brahma adhiyate. So when the param brahman is perceived within the buddhi, just like how a person perceives all the external objects through the eyes. So when we have a visual presentation around us, we are able to see everything that is there in front of us. So when I have a laptop, so when I have the desktop in front of me, I have the speaker in front of me, I have books in front of me. So also everything, so this is a visual presentation for my eyes. So when I see everything, so just like how everything becomes perceptible to my bahya chakshus, so in the same way as a result of practicing the antarangam of yoga, ashtanga yoga, so through the practice of dharana, dhyana and samadhi, so when the param brahman, so when that becomes perceptible to the buddhi, so that process is known as samadhi. Samyak adhiyate vishayi bhuyate anena iti samadhi. So that is the process of samadhi. So the dhyana yuktatvam and samadhi nishthatvam of Dikshitendra. So that we can see, for example, so in Dikshitendra Vijayam, K.V. Subramanya Shastrigal says that. So once his disciples, so all of his sons, grandsons, nephews, grandnephews, and disciples, so they wanted to see what Dikshitendra experienced in his state of dhyana and samadhi. So once Dikshitendra went into the state of samadhi, and when he opened his eyes, so people became paralyzed with fear. So what most of them could see was only a Teja Punjam. So it was only a bright effulgence that they could see. And people, everyone present there were paralyzed with fear. And some people could not move, they could not speak anything. And some people who had the courage, so they offered namaskarams to him. And some people who had the courage, some people, they were able to see the murti of Bhagavan Natarajar seated here. On Nataraja seated with Vyaghrapada on one side and Patanjali Maharshi on one side. So this is one thing which K.V. Subramanya Shastrigal records. And so this is, apart from this, so during another incident when his disciples inquired him of what he experienced in Samadhi Avastha, so he went into the Antarmukha Avastha, and later on when he came to Bahirmukha Avastha, he was not able to exhibit what he exhibited then. So he said, so he experienced the Nirgunam Param Brahman, and then he said, Turyatitaha Trigunarahitaha Nama Rupadi Duraha. So this was the experience of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra during his Samadhi at another instance. So this is purely an anubhavam of the Supreme Impersonal Brahman, Turyatitaha and Trigunarahitaha Nama Rupadi Duraha. So although Dikshitendra said, although I was able to meditate upon the Supreme Impersonal Brahman, so what I like the most is to see the Murti of Swami Nataraja. So during his last years, he was there in Chidambaram. So the last 10 to 12 years he spent in Chidambaram. And it was from Chidambaram he wrote his magna opera like Kalpataru Parimalam and Nyaya Rakshamani. So at the last few moments of Dikshitendra, so when he was taken to the Sannidhi of Swami Natarajan, he chanted 1.5 shloka, Chidambaram idampuram prachitameva punyasthalam Sutasya Vinayojvala Sukritayasya Kashit Kritaha. So saying this 1.5 shloka, so he merged into the deity of Nataraja. So a bright effulgence emerged from the Murti of Nataraja and he emerged into it. So just like how Andal had Sahajya Prapti with Swami Ranganatha, so just like how Nayanmar Nandanar had Sahajya Prapti into the deity of Swami Nataraja in Chidambaram. So in the same way, Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra had Sahajya Prapti with the deity of Swami Nataraja in Chidambaram. So this is the Samadhi Nishtha of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra. So this is an appreciation of Dikshitendra as a Shiva Bhakta. So in his Shivarchana Chandrika, so Dikshitendra gives many different, so there are 38 chapters Dikshitendra has discussed upon. So as I told you, so Dantadhavana Vidhi, Snana Vidhi, Shai, Sankshepa, Shaiva Sandhya Vidhanam, and then his Bhasmadharana Vidhi, Rudraksha Dharana Vidhi. So if we take a careful look at it, so you know, so it is not something that can be easily possible for people in the 21st century. So in Bhagavatam, the 12th canto of Bhagavatam, while discussing the Kali Yuga Lakshana, says Tatashchanudinam Rajan. So every day, so Dharma, Satyam, Shaucham, Kshamadya, so everything will start undergoing decline. So this is something we have heard in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we take a look at the great Mahatmas who lived in different centuries, so the people, the followers of Sanatana Dharma in different centuries, so we can see a gradual decline of various Dharmanushtanam from the time of Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra unto our times. So the Shivarchana Chandrika, this presentation is more of a theoretical presentation. So a practical, so even to put 5 to 10% of what Dikshitendra says into practice, so it is something that is very difficult. So this is about Bhasmadharana Vidhi, he says, and then Rudraksha Dharana Vidhi. So this is about, when it comes to Shiva Panchakshara Mantra, so he says, so the first thing is, so it is not mere chanting of the mantra which has Pranava followed by the word Namas, followed by the name of Lord Shankara in Chaturthi Vibhakti. So the deity of Panchakshara Mantra, so she is known as Panchakshari Vidya. So she is none other than Devi Uma, so who is none other than Brahma Vidya. So the deity of Panchakshari Devi has to be meditated upon, and then one has to sit in Sukhasanam and then do Atma Raksha. And once Atma Raksha is done, one Mantra Raksha has to be done through specific pranayama procedures, and then one has to awaken Kundalini Shakti before entering into Panchakshara Japam. And then he gives two types of counting, the japa. So one is internal way of counting, external way of counting. So the internal counting is through alphabets in Sanskrit language, and he gives a very detailed procedure for internal counting. And for external counting, he says it has to be done through Rudraksha Mala. And this Rudraksha Mala should be separate from the Rudraksha Mala that is worn on the neck, on the head, and different Anga Pratyangas of the body. So external counting through Rudraksha and Mala, and then the day. So there is a deity within the Rudraksha Mala that has to be invoked, and this deity should be invoked using specific mantras and mudras. And then he gives rules for positioning the fingers while holding the Japamala, and then methods of changing beats of the Rudraksha Japamala. People who are in Pravrti Marga should do it downwards. People who are in Nivritti Marga, that is sannyasis, should do it upwards. And then he also gives a list of offenses that are performed against the Rudraksha Japamala. For example, it should not fall down on the ground. So it shouldn't fall on our feet. And then it should be high. So it has to have separate vastram in which it has to be enclosed. So if the Rudraksha Mala happens to fall on our own vastram, so it happens to fall beyond our Nabhi Pradesha, so it is a very great offense, and he gives prayashchitam for each of these offenses. So Aghora Mantra chanted for specific number of avarti, so that is the prayashchitam for it. And then there is he says that a flower should be held in the hand during the Japakala. And then he gives rules for positioning the legs while sitting in Sukhasanam. And then chanting of mantra shlokas to invoke the Rudraksha Japamala. So all of this So this is all, and then one has to enter into the chanting of Rudraksha, Panchakshara mantra. So with this, I would like to conclude, and I would like to conclude with verses from Vidyeshwara Samhita. So the next shlokas of Vidyeshwara Samhita, so it says, Uttarottara Vaishishtyat Pujayam Uttarottaram Phalam Vaishishtya Rupam Cha Durvigneyam Manishibhihi Tasmadvai Shivabhaktasya Mahatmyam Vettiko Narah Shivashaktyo Pujanam Cha Shivabhaktasya Pujanam Kurute Yonaro Bhaktya Sa Shiva Shivamedhate. So Uttarottara Vaishishyat, so from starting from Kriya Yukta Shiva Bhakta to Samadhi Yukta Shiva Bhakta, so each one is superior in the sequential order. So in this way, so there is a puja phalam for worshipping the Shiva Bhaktas. And the greatness of such Shiva Bhaktas is something that is extremely difficult to understand. So Tasmadvai Shiva Bhaktasya Mahatmyam Vetiko Naha. So therefore, a person who understands and appreciates the greatness of a Shiva Bhakta and Shiva Shakti of Pujanam, so when he engages in the worship of Shiva and Shakti, and when he engages in the worship of the Shiva Bhakta, so Saha Shivam Edhate, so he ultimately attains Shiva. So with this, I would like to conclude. Srimad Appayya Dikshitendra Parabrahmane Namaha.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gokul Krishna ji, for highlighting the Shiva Bhakti aspect, but in a more personal sense, in the sense of in the ritualistic sense, in a sadhana perspective. I think even this is one dimension I think most may not be aware of. I mean, people would have heard of Appayya Dikshita as a great Advaita Vidwan, as a great Shivadvaita Vidwan, as a great scholar of many writings, but seeing this, the details about how to do this Panchakshare mantra japa and all the prashchita details, it's simply amazing, wonderful. Thank you for doing this session, Dr. Gokul. Thank you very much.
Thank you for.
Yes, now moving forward, we have Dr. Tulsi Kumar Joshi ji, and